Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar and Brawl. I hope you're having a decent day. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam, and we're back with another midweek edition of Progressive Tweets, although this one is Elon Musk edition. And then we're going to do another video as well with the other tweets. So go check that out as well. And we've also recorded some other stuff today, including Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So please go check that out as well. But yeah, otherwise, like and please consider subscribing. But Sam, let's get right into this. So Dave Lee, right? And I had checked who he was. I think he was like a lawyer or someone who worked with Twitter in some way.
He's a certified loser, right?
Certified loser. I think we'll go with that. So I really
yes, it's official.
So this point that he makes in this tweet really bothers me because it says, moments after Elon Musk publicly criticized the work of Twitter policy exec Vijaya, her mentions are full of hateful tweets. Is this how he plans to run the company? And then then the thread goes on and he kind of written, I'd imagine every Twitter employee is looking at this and thinking, what if they're next? Just a sample. And in it, there are people saying some, pretty horrible stuff to the Vijaya stuff, granted. But this is like a thing that's just been getting under my skin again since last week. There have been a few stories where they've started to blame other people's actions and reactions to you. I mean, I know sometimes, right, if you're head of a government or, let's say you're like encourage people to go and do something, sure, but you just criticizing someone or something and then others taking that is just very unfair, if you ask me. I mean, this tweet is extremely unfair, to say the least, if you ask me.
It's unfair, and it's a sort of a, it's attention grabbing and all that shit. Is a grifter,
but it's the same thing. But it's the same thing. My point was, it's the same thing that Taylor Lorenz was doing with kind of Glenn Greenwald and others. They're like, oh, Glenn Greenwald, Tucker Carlson criticized me, and now it's your fault that I'm getting flooded with criticism, and some might be hateful and stuff. I mean, it's totally unfair and bullshit, to say the least.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really believe in anonymity online, but at the same time, I don't believe if you get a bad message or a bad tweet, you've been harassed or you've been under attack or anything. And the funny thing is, all these people are always going on about how Marxist or socialist or people who are for a state power, they want to get rid of individuality and people's individuality and freedom and all that. And they don't seem to at all believe that people have individual choice. They are robots that, Elon Musk, the prophet, said to do this, so we do this. So, or Glenn or whoever is the case. Not that
I'm 100%.
Not a fan of Elon Musk at all, but
all these people who are in the media really seem like they've never read like two at least meta-analysis on like media effects and like the literature on media, because we're doing this Frankfurt School series now. We've put a post out, so I guess we can discuss it. And one of the main thinkers, Adorno, we agree a lot of stuff that he's saying, but he seems to give a lot of power to media and like the influence that he thinks that it has, and we think it's overblown to an extent. I'm not saying media has no influence, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people in the media over and over again, they think that anything that is said or done is just people follow it. Boom. If that was the case, the president of the US would go on TV once a year, read a speech that would cover people's, activities for the following year. And then they would just act that way. I mean, it's just media doesn't have this kind of effect. People, are of course influenced by what they hear and see.
And even if it did, by the way, I don't give a shit. I'm sorry, you getting some bad messages, some idiots on Twitter, delete your account. I don't give a fuck. Grow up, be older. If you're under 18, I really think that's not right, and there should be some maybe safeguards. But if you're over 18, grow up. You're like you're executive at Twitter, right? So you're an adult, right? You can handle bad words. Ooh, I was told to fuck off. Oh, no. Oh, Jesus Christ, grow the fuck up. I feel like everybody's like, that like, it's just one of the, like, it reminds me so much of Islamic Republic, because everybody thinks Islamic Republic is this sort of a dictatorial regime that, oh, you do this. No, that's literally the language they use. This language of, oh, we don't want to offend the elderly. We don't want to offend the belief of these people. We don't want to offend the belief. Oh, it's fuck off. Really go. If you're over 18 and you get sad because of bad messages, go,
And
I
listen,
don't know, go become a teacher at the kindergarten, you loser.
and then yeah, I would love to
Not
see how
that,
you
by the way,
react
I
when
feel
upset parents show up and scream at you. Now that's much scarier than getting one or two bad tweets. So maybe that's not a good recommendation. I don't think they'd be able to handle that. So I'm not too sure where they should go and work.
True. These days, especially.
Yeah.
Don't become a teacher. That's definitely, you can't handle that. I don't know. Like, I think to be fair, these people should get some. I mean, they should get some government money, and then hopefully they, just don't bother anyone. Just give them some government money and ask them to not bother anyone. But by the way, I just like to. I don't know what the executive's position is. I'm talking about Dave Lee, because maybe the executive is actually, she's like, I don't give a shit about, maybe that's her position. I hope it is. So Dave Lee is a loser, not her necessarily.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, of course, the harassment can turn into, like, let's say if you're getting systematically harassment threats, not only on Twitter, but you're getting letters sent to your phone. Threats or bad stuff.
Threats are a complete different.
And it starts, going into different, even if they're not threats, you start getting, let's say, your phone numbers out there, you start getting bad messages and all this. It's like, I feel like my problem is, I was trying to make that comment Johnny Depp thing. I feel like we stop like differentiating also between, or I'm sure this happens all the time, but just a few things have brought to my attention. We've stopped differentiating between like different levels of something. Something can be bad at the very low level, but then something is much more worse, right? You could get hit by a car a little bit, right? It's bad, but you could really get hit by a car. I'm just trying to say we've stopped distinguishing between these level of things. So if someone, maybe that was a bad example, I'm saying if someone gets one or two bad messages like this, or even more just on Twitter, okay, they're getting harassed, they're getting this and that and stuff, and then it leaves no room for actually when it really happens and when it's really big. I just feel like with so many of these stories, we stop like actually looking at the specifics and distinguishing a bit between different levels that something can happen to you. Did that make any sense?
No, I think you made
a little bit of sense
because or more than a little, but only this, because I do think you're right. Although I do think, legally speaking, sometimes there is no choice but not to do. Like, what can you do? But at the same time, I remember there is this awful movie that they remade, Ghostbusters, a couple of years ago, with all the female cast. And again, nothing wrong with that, but the movie was made in, it wasn't funny. Frankly, it wasn't funny, and it was so much in your face. Sort of all the female characters were all powerful and all that. So, and then there was a backlash, and some people hacked one of the actresses' accounts, and like they attacked their Twitter. And I genuinely felt that was one of the more disgusting campaigns I've ever seen. Like the way they hacked her information. I believe they shared her address. I don't recall specifically, but it was awful. So I do think you're right, but I don't know what is the legal answer to that. Because as soon as because when it's like written words, spoken words from far away, if it's not threats, I'm not talking about threats. Then it's very hard to sort of draw the line between things. So
legally I hadn't thought about it, but at least for us, when it's not legal, when we're speaking about things, it'd be nice if there was a bit more nuance in like
and differentiation between I agree. I mean, that's the thing. In the end, every case needs to be looked on its own merit. That's the biggest thing you learn. Like, there is no general rule for anything in this life, sadly. But I do think in the case that Dave Lee was talking about, he's exaggerating, and he's trying to push a specific narrative which is false. I think not false necessarily, but very minimal in its impact.
That was the second issue, and the first issue was the fact that just blaming other people's reaction to something on Elon Musk fully, which is also
Oh,
unfair. So
that's,
really,
yeah, of course.
true bullshit with this tweet. Okay, let's keep the party rolling, Sam. Lee Camp. Now this one and the next one. No, sorry, not this one. And yeah, oh, I didn't get. Okay, there are also some comments that are good for this, so I'll read those out loud. So Lee Camp wrote, for the price Elon Musk spent to buy Twitter, he could have provided clean water for the world or ended extreme hunger globally. Either would have saved millions of lives. So Sam, I'm just going to read you this one. Actually, I'll send it to you as well, because I think this summarizes my take, and I really have an issue with this kind of argument. So just please check your phone right now for this one as I read it out loud. Oh yeah, just switch spots, so it's there. So Yodsbod replied to Lee Camp, you say this like there's a shortage of funds for this to happen. It's the politics which oppresses the poor, not the ability to carry out these things. It must also been a massive windfall for Twitter shareholders redistributing the wealth. And then he wrote also, it's a shame the 300 billion confiscated from Russia won't be put to such uses, but instead most likely will be pilfered by US weapons manufacturers when they send Russia the bill for the war. So, you know, I mean, the Lee Camp thing, I know it is perhaps true, but I find it to be a bit of like a bit of a meaningless tweet. I mean, you can say that about everything. And like this person said, it makes it seem like the problem is money. And in some countries, in some cities, in some particular situations, the problem could be money, but a lot of the time the problem is not the money. The money is there. If you want to save it, Elon Musk, I mean, we're talking about the US pretty much has infinite amount of money. So
no, I don't think Lee Camp would necessarily disagree with that thing. I think he was just highlighting the potential sort of opportunity cost we are missing here because of the thing. But yeah, you're right.
And if that is true
think,
anyway, and that's
yes,
assuming that what he's saying
sure.
is
I mean,
true.
Yeah. I mean,
and you know, 40,
which in reality may be
not
very
really
different,
yeah.
sort of how, like, yeah.
But money's not the issue. That's my main
point.
Point.
Simplified sort of thing. No, you're right. The main issue is the political structure, and you know, it's after I did one of my thesis was about Iran, like between World War I and World War II, and there's this. I remember when I went to Kew, the British there's Kew Gardens is British. They have their letters, the original letters between the governments and all that.
Oh, really?
And I remember reading. Yeah, there is one bit about Reza Shah where he's communicating with the British, trying to win over them. And there is one bit he says, there is money in Iran, and we all know where that money is. It's just that somebody needs to go get it, like referring to the aristocrats and all the, the old money people and all that. And I do think, yeah, definitely that's the 100. Like, there is more than enough money. Even, for example, in Iran, they always going on about the sanctions, right? I'm sorry, but during the sanctions, I've seen more luxurious houses being built that I've seen anywhere in the world, like, Dubai level shit, or the cars I see. So even with the sanctions, it does seem there is enough money to go around, but some people are not willing to share.
Exactly.
So yeah, the political thing is by far more important. Although I think Lee Camp was just trying to make a, very quick point. So I don't think he would disagree with what you're saying.
Perhaps, yeah, perhaps. No, you're right. And I mean, with the food stuff, it's actually like a third of the food that we make in the world actually goes like to waste. So I mean, it's not like we have no issues right now of making enough food or having enough money. I mean, money's an issue for individual people, right? That's where money is an issue. When it comes to governments and all this, it's not comparable, that type of comparison. But generally, I think you can oversimplify it a bit and say most of the time, the countries, their problem is not the amount of money, especially if you take developed countries. I mean, that's for sure.
Oh yeah,
even developing countries, and also other countries which are currently underdeveloped and stuff. All you hear about are that there's they're probably, this person is taking the money there, this person is taking that kind of money, so fraud and all this kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
Although I have a theory though. I do think you can never reduce corruption to zero. And if you look at
100%.
countries, you just need to spend a fuckload of money and tolerate a fuckload of corruption, and then your country maybe sort of becomes a bit better. I mean, it's a very cynical way, but anyway,
No,
that
you
was
can
well.
reduce it, but with most things, you can't end them. And a lot of the times when campaigns say they want to end something, that's like a misleading goal from the beginning. Like with racism, they
Maybe.
do that in football. They're like, end racism. That's that's an objective you're never going to reach. Perhaps limit
And why
racism.
football?
It's very big in like football, and especially in the UK, they take minutes of silence and all these kind of things. And they're like big
Yeah, I'm sure
campaigns
it's
of ending.
very, very
Yeah.
effective. I'm sure racism is running away right now, crying. Minutes of silence. No.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
yeah, no, I
Anyway,
agree. You
sorry,
can
Marcus.
never cancel. Okay, let's keep the party moving. Again, by Lee Camp. Twitter has been sold to Elon Musk. Let's hope he treats it far better than he treats his workers or the environment or the animals he's implanting with Neuralink or the countries he supports cooing or anyone who gets in his way. Now here, I like this tweet much
I
more
agree.
by Lee Camp.
Yeah.
I have a little bit changed my mind since the beginning when this happened, because when first Elon Musk was taking over, I'm like, is he going to do anything? It's so bullshit and stuff. But now I think he's doubled down on this free speech thing
Free.
so much that he needs to, under him, he's really going to be under like, a microscope. But at the same time, I would just wonder even if at the practical level they managed to implement that, because, they're still going to have to look out for threats and these kind of things. So they're going to have to invest in a lot of people and a lot of AI and double checking in order to make sure that they are in fact, getting in the way of threats and these kind of things, but not other things that fall under freedom of speech. So, but I don't know. Now I feel like he might give it a try to actually, keep his promise, just because he's doubling down so much on it. So I've kind of changed my take a little bit since last week. I'm a bit more favorable now, I would say.
Look, I don't like. That's the thing. That everybody's talking about. Is he a good man?
Yeah.
Is he a bad man? Are you children? Like it's like politicians. Like, do you think like Bernie Sanders is a good guy? You're a bad guy.
Except
You're a
him.
child. You should see who.
Sorry, yeah.
Except maybe Jeremy Corbyn, but whatever.
No.
But look, man, with politicians, with anybody, you should look at the interests they are beholden to and the political goals they have. Elon Musk right now is dabbling down on this whole freedom of his speech stuff bullshit. So obviously, much more than the Saudi government's shareholders or these sort of vanguard group, he's more likely to allow for freedom of his speech. Not that because he's a good guy or he's principled, or maybe he is. I mean, I don't know and I don't care. I'm not his personal psychologist. But you should try to judge the situation by the people's interest, not by whether they are like from South Africa or whether from.
Very good point.
I don't know. I don't think Elon Musk is a good man or he's going to do a great job of anything. But in this specific case, it seems that he claims and his interest and the groups that are backing him are for freedom of his speech regarding most issues. There are specific topics like around his own businesses and stuff where he has done some anti-freedom of speech activities. I don't know enough about them, but it's just, I'm not. I think right now I'm a bit more on the side of if he takes over, it will be better because they allow probably Trump back on and most people back on. And, there is less threat of people getting suspended. But it's not that, it's not that big of a difference between the other group of people who owned it, who were a bunch of, like the people who criticize Elon Musk, they say that they criticized him taking over because he's an oligarch. I'm sorry, but who did you think owned Twitter beforehand? Like,
that's so childish.
organizations?
I mean, it's some of these criticisms made towards Elon Musk. I mean, I really wonder. I'm like, is it like satire, or are they trying to be like funny because they are so lame and ridiculous? Exactly, right? It just makes absolutely no sense. But that was a very good point that you made. Look at his interest. Stop being so childish. Don't believe in that. And another thing that I just wanted to add to
That's a
that,
good
why?
interest. That's a good point. Always just stop being so childish.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Just grow up. Don't hope for anything better. Yeah.
Seriously. And also to add to, like, you're saying you think that Twitter might become a little bit better. The other reason I think that might be the case is because censorship is just so like obvious and like one-sided and kind of guided by like democratic mainstream politics so much in the United States. It's just so blatant and so in your face that should be easy to, cut down. And if the people working at Twitter won't feel that pressure anymore because Elon Musk and the other people, the management won't care about that pressure anymore. So just on that, I was thinking, it might become better because they're so transparent with their bullshit, suspensions on Twitter. I mean, Twitter's really under like a microscope, so we see it more, but I don't know, they seem to be insanely ridiculous and partisan a lot of the time when it comes with things that they go after. But let's move on to Nathan J. Robinson.
Oh, yes. So
the fun part, the real fun. So here, do you want me to read the first two tweets that you have from him, or do you want to comment first?
Let me set it up first. So got Nathan J. Robinson, who, if anybody's really like, if Spar and Brawl right now has about 6 subscribers, right? But if you were that one subscriber that joined like during the first year or first month we did this shit, you remember that this is a guy that I personally am not a big fan of. And you remember we did a video with him doing a discussion with Glenn on bad faith.
Yeah, of
not
course.
Interviewed. Yeah. And this loser, and then then his own people in his magazine or whatever the fuck he has started to try to take over the company through a co-op situation, and then he fired them all. And it's just, he is the most pathetic loser, like in my view. He's the biggest Chomsky sort of a fanboy. That's his whole thing. He's a Chomsky fanboy, and he just, whatever Chomsky says, he repeats like a parrot. And he's just the biggest loser. So we're going to talk about his take on Elon Musk takeover of Twitter. Maybe now you should read that. Yeah.
So here, maybe I'll just read both together.
Read one.
One by one. Okay. By selling itself to Musk, Twitter sold itself.
No, not that one. No. Read the next one. Read the next one. Then I want. Yeah.
Remember that once Elon Musk owns Twitter, every tweet you send is performing free labor for him and using your personal free time to increase his wealth. When you write a popular tweet, you're a writer offering revenue-driving content to the world's richest man for free. I mean, I really hope that like he had gotten hit with like a bottle in the head or something. I mean, I hope no long-term damage, but like for 2 or 3 minutes, he was like completely out of it and he forgot about everything else in the world. And he could only tweet this and send it out. But
I have a feeling he was dropped as a baby and he has permanent brain damage, which leads him to become extremely stupid and dress the way he does.
I really hope not. I mean, we're joking here, really. But I mean, this tweet makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I don't want to say you can say this to everyone and anything, but that is the case. You can say this about everything and anyone. That's the issue. Yeah. So,
did you, Camille, every time you start up your car and use the petrol in the can, you are serving and you are doing free labor for BP and Shell, you traitor. Yeah. Oh my God, you.
Or anytime I turn on my computer, or I even send money, or anytime I go on YouTube, or anytime you go on Facebook, I mean, anytime you buy clothes, every
time you use Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this fedora wearing TikTok.
I don't know what to say, man, to this tweet. It baffles me. I'm really baffled by this tweet.
Wait, it's the most Karen-y of Karen without being a Karen, because I'm wearing a fedora and I have a purple jacket and I have a slightly British accent. Oh, you dick. Like, I despise this guy so much. His whole thing with Glenn interviews, like, I don't think Glenn is fully understand how his views are, reflected on Fox News. And as Noam Chomsky says, ha 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 ha, everything is purple, everything is, oh, so I must be weird. Fuck off. Now, this was the tweet that went a bit viral, but I wanted to read this tweet because this was just shows how fucking much of a showman he is. It's all about the show. By selling itself to Musk, we may see in retrospect that Twitter put the final nail in the coffin for the possibility of tackling climate change. A Trump NLRB will, of course, be devastating for the bourgeoising labor movement too. Oh, fuck you. Go fuck yourself, you lying piece of shit. As if like the climate change movement was on the verge of winning. The climate change movement, some would argue, was over like a decade ago. Like, according to the latest ICC report, we only have 2 years. And it is like, who was in charge for 8 years? Barack fucking Obama of Democrats. You loser, you piece of shit. Pathetic little worm. Oh God, I hate the people who are just, look, man, I'm a bit of a dandy piece of shit myself. I wear ties. I my hair is fucking crazy and all that shit. Sometimes I trim my beard, but these pieces of shit are 100% about performance with no substance. And just because you're wearing a fucking vest and a cravat doesn't make you an intellectual. You prick, you loser, you. The bourgeois labor movement, what the fuck are you talking about? You gaslighting piece of shit. Ugh.
No, I mean,
God damn.
Honestly,
sorry, I hate.
No. Honestly, like the first sentence, I mean, if this is someone who's supposed to provide analysis, right? And I mean, we perhaps provide sometimes some really shitty analysis, but if you're really blaming, 100%. If you're blaming the issues with tackling climate change on Twitter or even the media, and the funny thing is about Twitter is that it's like the smallest social media platform out there. It does have a bit of an outweighed, like they say, influence because of the people who use it. Actually, otherwise, in the real world, like nobody gives a shit about Twitter. There's no one on Twitter. Twitter has like 300 million or something. It's like, I get that there's some important people, and Trump, for instance, used it to get his messages onto the mainstream media. So they're the ones who actually amplified it. It wasn't Twitter itself. But honestly, based on this Nathan Robinson analysis here, I mean, sometimes I feel like some things are said that they just undermine everything a bit too much. So, I mean, everything that you said about him, I fully agree. And even if I didn't know that, just based on this analysis here, I'd be like, this man shouldn't be trusted with much.
No, he shouldn't be trusted with anything. His whole thing is he's all an act. Not that everybody is to an extent an act. Again, I'm a weirdo that dress relatively weird for his community, whatever, or has a weird beard or whatever. But some people, they are just an act. They are literally just an act. It's not about the substance. Like that's why I kind of wanted to do a bit of a deep dive that I saved for a surprise for you. So this motherfucker, I decided to go on his this bullshit magazine he has, Current Affairs, which, I mean, he used to have Brianna Greyjoy on it and all that. So I'm being extremely exaggerated right now because I am somewhat I'm not a big fan of this person. So obviously, And I looked at some of one of the worst writings you will ever come across in the political community. He can write about somebody throwing their cigarette in the streets. He can write about it for 15,000 words and make a big deal out of it, and just nonsense. And the worst thing is he thinks he's very being satirical and funny. Oh, aren't I the Jonathan Swift of the left? No, you're not Jonathan Swift. You're not shit. And just as an example, I went and I found this article, Current Affairs. the magazine that makes people fall in love. Oh, with what?
What?
With your fedora piece of shit wearing. Anyway, sorry. Santa Claus is real and he's a democratic socialist. Santa Claus of North Pole, Alaska, is running for Congress on a progressive platform. Can the true Christmas spirit of love and solidarity triumph against the right-wing politics of Sarah Palin? Nathan J. Robinson writes. I've just had the very surreal experience of speaking directly to Santa Claus. By the way, I should try to do a bit more with my accent. A man I was convinced was a fiction for my whole adult life. Until now, it turns out Santa is quite real. If you go to North Pole, Alaska and ask to meet Santa Claus, you'll be introduced to him. If you're skeptical that you're meeting the Santa Claus, you can check his driver's license. He's the real deal. This means that kids who tell their other kids that there is no Santa are lying. There is indeed a Santa, and he's currently running for Congress on a progressive platform. By the way, this bullshit article is not serving Google. He's not doing free labor for the Google right now. This bullshit article about how Santa Claus is real. You know, ha ha ha. I am doing Jonathan Swift satire here. Ha 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 ha. Fuck you.
Jesus Christ.
Listen to this. This is perfect. Santa Claus presently serves as the mayor pro tem of North Pole. Pro tem, for those of you not familiar with Latin, means temporary. Just you could write fucking temporary. You fucking douchebag. He was first elected to the city council in 2015 after previously serving as the head of North Pole Chamber of Commerce, which is definitely a great sign, by the way. Sorry, do you have any?
No.
Some of your take.
No. I mean, you know, it's okay every now and then to like have like a metaphor here and there, but this whole long spiel and just like keeping it going. Oh my God. I mean, I don't even know who he's talking about.
No, it's
really,
Santa. It's somebody who's a Santa Claus, somebody who works as a Santa Claus during, Christmas times and in places.
Okay.
But he's also there. No, my main point is a stylistic writing of this is fucking satire in his view. You should you should stop fucking writing. All right, you should stick to what you're good at, which is just pretending to be a fucking slave owner from like 17th century or something. But Santa Claus is also a pretty serious guy. He was not always Santa Claus and did not always live in North Pole. The 74-year-old was born in Washington, D.C. and worked in jobs ranging from managing public television to developing community policing strategies for the NYPD. He ran the Terrorism Research and Communication Center, an organization that aimed to advise the government on how to effectively counter terrorism. Although his belief that we ought to talk to terrorists was apparently not well received. Eventually, he became a monk. When his beard grew long, he realized that he would make a very good Santa Claus. I mean, this is, in my view, this is like
no.
This is Fox News level bullshit.
Oh.
He sorry, I'm just fast forward. He talks more bullshit. This I mean
no.
all of it is.
I mean, I had read that article of his against Glenn Greenwald. I mean, just so unnecessarily wrong for no reason. I mean, just no reason.
And it's but it's so fucking long winded, and get to the fucking point, you piece. Like, some people, brevity is not a bad.
Yeah.
The real Santa is also political, and that's important. Yeah, very important. Somebody in Alaska, one of the most important states. Yeah. Santa Claus understands that if the spirit of Santa is truly to be one of giving and universal love, then Santa must be a democratic socialist who tries to get people universal health care and end poverty. Giving children gifts is a small act of charity that doesn't change their lives. The real world Santa wants to free children from immigration detention centers so they don't spend Christmas in cages. And just reading some of his last chapters. If someone lives in the North Pole as Santa Claus, as long as if someone lives in North Pole as Santa Claus long enough, that's a mistake, I guess. If somebody lives in North Pole as long enough as Santa Claus,
Perhaps,
do
yeah.
they become the real Santa Claus? My position is that they do. My flower is spinning right now. Yeah, my position is that they do, and that I think someone is willing to volunteer to be the real Santa and commit their life to the role. We should accept that. While it used to be the case that Santa wasn't real, now he is. And after this Santa, I hope someone else take his place, someone who will continue to always be up there in North Pole, caring about the children of the world. I wonder how much does Santa care about the children in other countries, but that's a question for another side. We can choose if we like to live in a world where Santa is real, or we can senselessly deny that Santa Claus is actually Santa Claus simply because he was not born Santa Claus. Oh God, like this
Jesus.
sentence deserves to be. Let me read this again. We can choose if we like to live in a world where Santa is real, or we can senselessly deny that Santa Claus is actually Santa Claus simply because he was not born Santa Claus. Yeah, ha 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 ha.
I don't know what
I
to
hope
say, to be honest.
yeah, like your attempts at a humor or just, I feel like this is again, Jonathan Swift, Tristram Shandy, it's all mixed in one.
Honestly,
Personally,
speechless. Honestly, don't know what to say.
Personally, I think it makes far more sense to accept that Santa is real and is running for Congress. If kings and presidents can be created by social consensus, why not legitimate Santas claim to be in Santa? You fucking Batman villain. Go back to ripping off, I don't know, some banks in a Batman cartoon. Dressed like
he does look like a shitty Riddler or something.
Yeah, he definitely looks like a shitty Riddler. And do you have any comments on his article? I have something else to discuss as well.
No, go ahead. I mean, I don't know what is there to comment about.
No, he's the worst, isn't he? Like, I genuinely prefer right wing. Like,
yeah.
No, the only group I would put below him are like right wing, religious, sentimental type groups, type thing. But he's just genuinely fucking hell. How, like, the only reason he's famous is because when he was very young, he did an interview with Chomsky on YouTube, kind of like the Joe Rogan situation before every, like, Jesus Christ, I hate him. I hate him so much. Sorry.
So what else? Is there something else you want to mention about him?
Yeah. I found it when I was going through his Twitter, right? I found it very interesting that he kept tweeting this and retweeting this. Listen to this. Because this is, in my view, is the biggest example of projection you can see. Ben Shapiro's success really mystifies me. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's grating and irritating, and he just seems like a deeply unpleasant, callous person that no one would want to spend more than 5 minutes in a room with. Is this his confidence? I don't know, Nathan. You tell us. You're his exact copy for the left. You both dress like you're grooms on a bridal cake rather than a real person. You both talk like you're children from 5th grade or something. Ben Shapiro and you. So I don't know. Maybe you should get together and figure it out. You should form a double act. You two grifters. You both are riding the same fucking horse. That I'm gonna dress up like a fucking dandy from 18th century and talk really fast and say big words with my fedora, and then people gonna think I'm smart because I look like a smart person in a Disney cartoon. Ha ha ha. Asshole.
No. I mean,
damn it.
And just like for me, again, I mean, I don't know if he's being serious here, but if Ben Shapiro's success really mystifies him, again, I really question his analysis and judgment. I mean, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, I don't know. What world are you living in? I mean, doesn't mystify me at all. You can say this about every single person on mainstream media and other places.
I'm sorry, but forget about that. But that's coming from, I don't know, that coming from Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi, somebody who, when he writes, he even in his journalism, he echoes like Russian fucking literature. That makes sense. Not from a loser whose whole writing is about Santa Claus is real.
Yeah.
My satire. Listen to some of his other. I'm just reading the titles. This is from his website. The right loves free speech unless they disagree with what you say.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, the left must be ruthlessly strategic. This is one with Tucker Carlson and Christian Small. So I assume he's criticizing just.
Seriously,
I don't know. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Yeah, another one. The Wall Street Journal makes the case for expropriating billionaires. Oh no, it's just he's the most like middle of the road bullshit. Fucking loser. You're a loser. Get over it. You middle of the road piece of shit. You just want to go to same parties that Hillary Clinton goes to, but you don't want to, you just have a different fucking angle. Or Ben Shapiro for that matter. I hate that piece of shit doll of a groom on a bridal cake.
Can't disagree with you there, man. Can't disagree with you there. No, I mean, he's way too annoying for me to do any kind of deep dive like that into it. I'm kind of curious about the Christian Smalls article, actually. So maybe later on,
yeah,
I'll check that out.
I should have looked into that. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. No.
But
from the headline, it didn't seem promising. Funny. Yeah, the Santa Claus one. Jesus Christ, man.
What a fucking loser. Like, I can't believe this motherfucker used to like be the editor for Beyond Greyjoy. I'm sorry, but he shouldn't be an editor for shit. He should just at most have a blog that he writes for himself with his awful.
Well, listen, he's found
writing.
an audience somewhere. Some people go and read it. I mean, he's somehow sustaining that website and everything. So
yeah, again, Ben Shapiro, David Pakman have found the audience. Losers.
So exactly. So it shouldn't mystify him too much, actually, that Ben Shapiro is successful.
No. Sorry. I know it's getting
no, it's all good. I agree with you a lot. I mean, I'm not as passionate towards him, but I don't disagree with you.
This dishonesty really pisses me off. Really, like he's, again, if anybody has time, please check out the Bad Faith interview with Glenn and him, and you just see how dishonest and condescending and unfair he is, in my view. And try to read some of his articles. Maybe I'm right about his writing style, but I do genuinely believe he's one of the worst writers out there, just in the topics he picks as well as in his style.
Okay, alrighty, Sam. So I say we wrap up this episode, and now, guys, we're gonna go record our non-Elon Musk related tweets. So make sure to check that as well. But okay, any final words on your end, Sam, about Nathan Robinson or anything?
I feel I already have spoken too much. Yeah, no, thank you.
It's all good. Okay, all right, guys. Please leave your comments, questions, criticisms down below. We'll make sure to get to them. If not, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.